We're really focused on just making sure the iconography of our brand is mentally available to our potential customers. So it starts even before you said a word, even before you've really leaned into what the features and benefits are.
Today, I'm chatting with John Sheldon, Chief Marketing Officer at Smile Direct Club. That's the tele dentistry company that makes 3D printed clear aligners to straighten your teeth, an alternative to traditional braces.
In order to penetrate that market more fully, and what they said to us is, I just want confidence that somebody's got my back and I can look somebody in the face when I need it.
So how do you think about some of these country differences in how people think about wanting straight teeth?
First of all, we do research, right? Start by understanding the differences in the local market.
What is your recommendation for other CMOs? Do you recommend like left brain first, then add on some right brain, or what do you recommend as the path to others?
And I say this, people say, what's the most important thing I as a performance marketer can do right now? And the answer to that question is
available wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Top CMO. I'm chatting with John Sheldon, CMO of Smile Direct Club. And John, tell me first of all, what is it like in an industry where you have to educate people that there's an option, your option, that's maybe different than what they expect if they want to have orthodontics works done? You've got to educate them and get them to a comfort level to maybe do this in a different way. What was that challenge like over the past few years to get people to accept a new method?
Yeah, as a company that came in and challenged a 100-year-old orthodontic industry, as a disruptor, we had to spend a good amount of our marketing efforts in educating people. Now, we had some benefits to us. Number one is obviously because of the way that we go to market, we have a major price advantage. And so we've opened up the market to a set of people to get teeth straightening that's never had access before. And so actually at the very beginning, they were like, wait, $2,000 for me to straighten my teeth? Sign me up. It was, there was apples laying on the ground there. There was a latent demand that we could tap into. But obviously along the way, we've had to educate people about the effectiveness of our model and the depth and the doctor part of our model, which is, you're managing that relationship with the doctor in a remote way, but the doctor's prescribing things and following along with your treatment end to end. And so, managing through that, how the process works, ensuring that the credibility is there, really important parts of the efforts that we put in place early on in our business. At the same time, what we've tried to do is meet the customer where they are in terms of getting started, right? Some people are comfortable with a fully remote approach to this. Some people come into our Smile shops and have that Apple Store-like experience and get to talk to somebody before they begin the process. And other people really want to look at their doctor, in the eyes, their dentist in the eyes, and ensure that they're going to have somebody who's keeping an eye on them all through the process. And it's really about ensuring the right way for them to get started.
And how do you think about your then different, personas you target or different ideal customers of different types? Because even now, looking at just demographic differences, you have some people that would, maybe be typically from an older generation that's like, I want to know the person doing this. I want to make sure, I want to look them in the eye. I want to meet them. And then you have some people where they're signing up for, let's not say teledentistry, but just any service. And they're like, if you have to make me go on a phone call and do a meeting, that's the last thing. Like, can I just sign up in the app? Is there some other way? So how do you think about that when it's like two different groups of people? You want to meet people where they are. You want your marketing to meet them where they are, where they want to be. How do you think about that when one person's feature is another person's bug?
Yeah, well, that's why we offer those multiple options, right? I mean, I think that's the first piece is we've created multiple lanes for people to kind of self-select what approaches are going to work best for them. When I started with the business 4.5 years ago, our customer was pretty clearly a 20-something woman who might have had braces before and didn't wear her retainer, and now is coming back to basically finish the job and get it right this time. But what's happened over the course of my time here is that customer has greatly expanded. I mean, we have customers into their 70s that have actually signed up and are going through treatment. And obviously, the teen market is a huge market in orthodontics, and we're seeing an increase in the teen market for us as well. And so, but the point is to make sure that we offer customer experiences that match up to their needs.
So how does that affect your marketing mix when you have someone in there that needs, high touch to sign up, and then you have someone that maybe wants low touch and just wants, some quick reassurance? How do you sort of map out those different kind of consumer decision journeys?
Yeah, it's really about marrying up the messaging to where the person is in the customer journey. Right. At first, they don't need to know whether they're starting it remotely or in person. What they need to believe is, hey, there's high value for me in getting my teeth straightened. I've always wanted to do this, or I'm just starting to think about it now. And we just have to talk to them that it can be done, and it can be easy, and it can be done for less money than they think it's going to cost. Down the funnel, we start to introduce, hey, there's 3 ways to get started here in the process, and we explain that to them. And our CRM work is a workhorse in our marketing mix. I mean, it's as good and as robust that I've ever seen in a company. And we take the time to educate people about all this.
Meaning like you're tracking interactions, you're categorizing people, you're able to kind of view into an individual person and really understand how they're engaging with you. What do you mean by that?
Between mapping up messaging to their behaviors, for example, on our website or within our app, where they are in the process, whether they've just given us an email or have become a lead, or whether they've submitted for us to validate their insurance covers off on the treatment. Those people are very, very different, and so we can go through and we marry up our messaging to the behaviors that they have demonstrated on our site or in the process.
Well, and then so as you advance and you say, hey, there's this alternate way to traditional orthodontics. There's a tele dentistry approach, and you get over that hurdle. Then you have an additional hurdle, which is an interesting one for anyone that has maybe a competitor or a player in their industry that their brand becomes synonymous with the term. And we'll mention them quickly. We'll say Invisalign, where people, because of their marketing early on and maybe some high profile folks, I remember stories back in the day, like Tom Cruise is getting braces. You think this like handsome guy is doing it. And I remember stories like that early on, are kind of the 200-pound gorilla in the field in terms of a brand. So how do you start thinking? What do you start doing to get the brand awareness you need to grow, to start taking up share of voice, to start taking market share, and also sort of position yourself in a different way?
Yeah, and Ben, that story's evolved for us over time, right? When we started, we were just introducing something brand new that hadn't been done, this idea of remote teledentistry, right? And we had this opportunity, this latent demand that was there from the fact that 60% of the counties in the United States don't have a single orthodontist in them. 60% of the counties. Now, by operating remotely, we can do business in all of those counties, and so that's been it created a chance for us to start the conversation that way. So we started with this disruptive piece. There's a brand new way of doing teeth straightening. We evolved that once we were confident that we were providing as good a solution to most people as Invisalign was. We shifted that language to being a challenger brand, and we had calling them out by name type of TV spots and advertising. And actually, even on our website, we've got comparison charts there where we're calling them out by name. But actually, what's interesting is we're shifting again away from that because of the investments and innovation that we've made to really starting to talk about ourselves as the inevitable leader in the space. And so, that we're kind of evolving away from worrying about those guys and really focusing on expanding the category, bringing more people into the category, and building up our the benefits in that way. So that story has evolved over time as we've grown and service 1.8 million plus customers who've gotten their teeth straightened with our solution.
Well, and one thing that's interesting about marketing, and you mentioned kind of challenger brands and knowing if you're the incumbent brand or if you're the challenger brand can have a big impact on how you act. And I remember, chatting with the Sergio Zyman is kind of former iconic CMO of Coca-Cola, and you talk to him about New Coke, and he'll tell you like, hey, we lost our way in New Coke because we started thinking we're a challenger brand and we're not. we're the incumbent, and we kind of lost our way on that. And yet Pepsi in that market, challenger brand positioning, will come in and, they'll go to the Super Bowl, take an ad out, and when the Super Bowl's in Atlanta, in Coke's hometown, and every single billboard, and be like, we're sticking it to you, Coke, because they're the challenger brand. So it's not so easy necessarily to go from one to the other. If you're evolving from a more aggressive, challenger brand mentality to something else, how do you do that? How do you shift that? It's not as easy as just saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. 3.5 years ago, there were some other upstart competitors on the D2C space. That the business is hard, and they've really struggled to get any kind of foothold. But I would constantly tell the team they're gonna bang on us all day long. We're gonna pretend they don't exist, right? Because outside of in the D2C space, we're the leader, right? But then we said, we're not just in the D2C space, we're in the teeth straightening space. And so we're the challenger to Invisalign. So we made that choice. And again, now that we've gotten some of our new technologies, aligned around, using your mobile phone, for example, to get an initial scan to understand how your teeth are going to move, or some of our automated treatment planning software that uses AI, and allows us to get better plans than anyone in the business. With these innovations that put us on top in terms of comfort, in terms of efficacy, and so on. We don't want to talk about the people that don't have those things. We just want to talk about why we're the inevitable leader. And so that is that shift that we are making, and we'll move away from talking about other folks and really just focus on what are the benefits of straightening your teeth, of oral care in general, because we've launched a number of other products, right? We've got teeth whitening products. We've got water flosser products that we sell in 14,000 Walmarts and CVS's and Walgreens, around the United States and Canada. And what really, evolving to become is, the leading oral care provider, because we use technology the right way. And that's really the conversation that we want to have now with customers about our business and our brand.
Well, and it's interesting. I mean, I think, we've done a lot of work as a marketing agency for companies like Bowflex, where, traditional exercise equipment, but then they have like AI driven equipment. And I think one of the things you start thinking about as you do marketing, and especially I know you identify as a performance marketer, a quantitative guy, a person who likes, like optimizing things, which is near and dear to my heart. So we'll get along on that basis. But when you start doing this, and you start being like, let's position the technology, or let's speak about the technology, well, the issue becomes, there's some people that, like myself, you're marketing to me, you're like, yes, show me all the cool stuff. Show me all that. And there's some people that are just like, I just want straight teeth. I just want to know. So how do you think about the messaging? And if we're talking about performance marketing, landing pages, ads, copy that relate to all those types of people, even as you use, it sounds like, technology to halo market leadership.
Yeah. So Ben, the first thing is, before you can get into that part of the conversation, you have to build your brand, right? And I believe, I'm a big believer in the, how brands grow, Byron Sharp world of, building out, being mentally and physically available for your customers, building out your brand iconography, repeating that over and over again. We've done in my time so many of the elements that he talks about. Sonic branding, we've built a character up. Our colors and fonts are really solid. You can freeze frame any one of our ads, and anybody who's ever seen our ads will say, oh, that's Smile Direct Club, because of the way that looks at any moment in time. We're really focused on just making sure the iconography of our brand is mentally available to our potential customers. So it starts even before you said a word, even before you've really leaned into what the features and benefits are. And then what you have to do is again, guide people through the experience so they can find the content that they want, right? When people come to our website, one of the most popular things on our website is people go to the before and after, the results page. And we watch for like hot jars or whatever those things, whatever that is. And people will scroll that for 20 minutes and just give me 20 more, give me 20 more, give me 20 more. And they just love seeing those results. And that's one set of people. Other people show up and the first thing they do is like, how much does it cost? And that's what they go to right away, right? And that's their experience. And so what we've tried to do is build an overall digital experience that allows a person to kind of find what they want really quickly and kind of guide themselves through the path. And then we try to narrow them into a conversion funnel, thereafter. This is a pretty high consideration product, right? It's $2,000 and you're doing something physically to your body. Not a lot of brands get the permission to kind of live in your body for 6 months. We do, but that's not something people take lightly. And so we get multiple bites at the apple to have that conversation with them as they're going through the consideration.
Well, and I know one of your goals to kind of go from challenger to market leadership status and is overall oral care is to really increase not just your, if we're talking about brand awareness, we do a brand awareness or a brand lift study, right? We're talking like aided brand awareness. Do you see your name in the list? People identify you, or unaided. I know you want to, lift unaided brand awareness. What are the channels that you leverage to do this? I mean, how many of these are like traditional, even expensive channels, mass media? How much of these are more focused, digital, more targeted channels? How do you go about lifting unaided brand awareness?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix. Short version is it's a mix, and we spent a lot of money, to kind of help build our brand awareness. Right when I started the business, we were at 16% aided awareness. We're now at 62% aided awareness. Right, so we've flipped the script on that and really built the brand, in that aided way. We're now really focusing on that unaided part of the equation, and to do that. We spent money on TV. We spent money sponsoring podcasts. We've done a number of things like that, but we've also, really, spent the predominance of our monies in things like paid social and the like. And what we found in working with our media mix modeling partner that we use is that those things complement each other really well. Right, spending money on whatever Facebook and Instagram makes your TV more effective. Spending money in TV makes your digital work much more effective. And so, that virtuous cycle, allows us to make investments in both places because they build on each other in all the right ways.
And one of the things about being, a tele dentistry model is, like you said, you can be everywhere. You can market in a lot of places. You can market all over. You're not confined by physical location. But one of the new service models that you have that is coming soon is a model that starts in the local dentist chair. And I believe you call it Care Plus. And the idea is that dentists who would normally refer to an orthodontist, if someone wanted that, could actually be able to sort of offer and be that point of contact through your service and do that. But that's a different business model. It's more local. You've got to start thinking differently. So how do you start thinking about launching that? I know you're doing a few DMAs or metro areas to start, but how do you sort of reset your mindset from direct to consumer everywhere? We're just a click or a phone call away to something that becomes more localized based for that type of service.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it starts with understanding who the target is for this product, right? And so what happened when we launched our traditional product is we opened up the market to people who had never had access to this before. We saw that actually we kind of started, going up the chain, if you will, from a socioeconomic perspective, as we continued to grow our business. But one area that we hadn't quite penetrated at the levels that we care about are what I would call your traditional orthodontic customers, right? These are either high net worth individuals or parents of teens primarily, and the teen market, the parent of teen market. And by the way, in the United States, the teen market is 75% of all orthodontic case starts in the US. And so that's a really big part of the market. It's not for clear aligners, it's about 25% of clear aligners, but it's about 75% of case starts. So when we went to go find out, hey, what do we have to do in order to penetrate that market more fully? And what they said to us is, I just want the confidence that somebody's got my back and I can look somebody in the face when I need it. And by the way, the parents of teens said, I need somebody who's going to look my kid in the face and hold them accountable because maybe I don't want to do that, right? And so not all parents, but some. And so the intention of starting with the local dentist was to really appeal first and foremost to that traditional orthodontic customer who's looking for a little bit higher touch, even though, again, it's the same pieces of plastic. It's going to do exactly the same work, but they just want to have that extra confidence of knowing that the person taking care of them in part is also nearby. Right. And so, we're doing that. And our dentists, our orthodontists are partnering up with that local dentist. And so you get kind of a 2-for-1, right? You got someone who can verify that your oral health, in real time is prepared for clear aligners. And again, we do that in other ways in the traditional model. And then we've got our orthodontist on the back end, creating for you a treatment plan that's going to help you get that straighter smile. And so,
and how do you approach the marketing for that? It's a lot of partner marketing for sure, because you're working with dentists who are in your model and hopefully are just promoting it. But to your point earlier, if people hear about it from different ways, it might increase their likelihood to respond. So how are you thinking about like that marketing mix local in one of these DMAs that you're starting with?
Yeah, we would welcome, of course, all of the in-chair referrals that those dentists might do as they're cleaning teeth and going through the regular treatment with their customer base. But actually, our expectation is that we're going to be driving the predominance of the traffic that's going to go into this Care Plus model through our own marketing. And so we are launching in four DMAs, 4 metro areas. Starting next week. And, the intention is to be highly target that traditional orthodontic customer, direct them in to understand more about this model and how it can work for them and meet the needs that they tend to state. And then we'll drive them into that doctor to get that higher touch service model that, gives them the confidence that they want.
And how does all of this, whether it's launching something or your traditional model that you've built up over many years, how does that translate internationally? How do you think about it? I know not just in the US, but you're in a lot of English speaking countries, UK, Australia, I think Ireland, other places like that. And I'll give you one little story about just differences around the world, especially with orthodontics. I'm part Thai, so I go sometimes to Thailand with my mom. And if you go to Thailand, there are billboards all over for braces and for orthodontics, and it's all adults, right? It's like a status symbol almost if you're getting your teeth straightened, and it's totally different. And it blew me away. I was like, well, why are there all these billboards for orthodontics around? And that's different countries. So how do you think about some of these country differences and how people think about wanting straight teeth?
Yeah. So, first of all, we, do research, right? Start by understanding the differences in the local market. At one point, we actually were live and launched in Germany. Germany passed a telemedicine law that had nothing to do with our business at all, by the way, but it made our current our model in Germany, not viable. So we've since exited. But I'm going to use them as an example because culturally, so incredibly different. Right? Nobody in Germany wants that cheesy American Hollywood smile. That's one thing. And it came up over and over again. So we really had to focus on the health benefits of teeth straightening, of which there are many, and in our messaging. And the other thing that they talked about was just how important the doctor was in the process. And so we were very doctor forward in all of our advertising, when we were in Germany. And they literally call them gods in white, like with the white lab coats. That's kind of a nickname for doctors. And so it's just a much higher vaunted status in their culture. And so we leaned into that as part of our marketing. When we go to the UK and Canada and Ireland and Australia, it's very, very similar, we find, to the general culture in the US, with some differences around insurance and that kind of thing. But really holistically, the attitudes about teeth straightening and like are really very well aligned in those countries. And so we've found that our messaging is most effective in that environment.
Well, and what is your recommendation for other CMOs? I mean, you're someone who started out on it sounds like much more embracing performance marketing, more analytical side. But as you've gone on and now you have this unaided brand awareness goal, you've leaned more and more into brand and heck, you sound like a brand forward marketing CMO when you're talking about iconography and keeping things consistent and all of that. So do you recommend that for other CMOs? Do you recommend like left brain first, then add on some right brain, or what do you recommend as the path to others who might follow, or others who are maybe great CMOs, but kind of rely on one side of the brain?
Yeah, I mean, I would say to be a great CMO, you have to do both, right? Now you can come from one side or the other, but to be a great CMO, you have to have both of those skills. I just happen to come from the performance side. And I was very fortunate. I got to spend time working at Ogilvy, where that's like the teaching hospital of the advertising industry, and I learned brand from some of the greats in the U.S. And so was really fortunate in that regard. But the short version is, and I say this, people say, what's the most important thing I as a performance marketer can do right now? And the answer to that question is build your brand, right? In a world where all this privacy work is going on, and we're losing some of the tool sets from from some of the regulatory environments and the like, ensuring that there's something behind your brand, that people know what you stand for and what you believe in as a brand, it becomes increasingly ever more important. And so I don't think it's like you could do one and not the other. I think you have to be both, and you have to understand the Byron Sharp part of the world, and you have to understand the Peter Fader's, a lifetime value part of the world, and put both of those together and really build, that CAC to LTV type of environment, but one where there's broad audience awareness of what you can bring to the marketplace.
And I want to end on talking about and get your take on some of the companies that are known for their marketing and what you gain from them. I want to start off by one, which is Apple, which has a very distinctive style of marketing. And you look at, especially like a billboard you drive by, it's Apple. It's not going to be a lot of words.
You hide the logo, you know what it is.
Yeah, you're going to do all kinds of things like that. So what, and I know you alluded to, your 150, I think you call them Smile Clubs or Smile, as Apple-like. So what does Apple do that you find noteworthy or remarkable that you would, in some regard, emulate it in your physical locations?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you take a look at an Apple store, right, it's a fulfillment center. I mean, you go, people walk in with an idea of generally what they're looking for already, right? Nobody walks in and says, I don't know, maybe I need a computer. They know when they walk in the door, but what they do a terrific job of is zeroing you in on exactly what you do need and how you can use it. And it's in a really clean, clear environment with excellently trained personnel. I mean, we which is exactly what we do. We do exactly the same thing. We work really hard on our customer experience, on our scenarios that we teach them how to handle, all through the process. And we keep those shops, very clean, but not sterile, right? Not like a dentist's office with beige on the walls. They got that blurple color everywhere, and there's very happy, smiling people all over the place. And it's got fun music playing, and it's a little bit different environment for people to kind of go through this experience. And it's one we get great reviews on. I mean, you'd be stunned. I can't share it, but you'd be stunned at what percentage of people that walk through the door, end up walking out signed up for clear aligners. It's remarkable. But by the way, all of that is set up before they walk through the door, right? It's set up by the site and the app and the CRM work that goes into that. Nobody walks through the door without an appointment. Everybody comes in, they already have the appointment. They made that appointment online, and they've been educated before they show up by a huge litany of work that the team does just to make sure that experience is fulfilling and they get the answers that they need.
Another company, one that you have direct experience with, is MasterCard. And when you think of MasterCard, you think of a tagline, you think of priceless, you think of kind of, being ubiquitous. You work there a number of years. What does MasterCard do really well from a marketing perspective?
Well, I think they elevate their brand. And the funny part about MasterCard, when you talk about consumer marketing, is MasterCard's customers aren't the consumer. MasterCard's customers are banks, right? They need a bank to decide that they're the right network for their cards, right? But what they want is consumers to specifically ask for MasterCard, right? And so they have to stand for something really important. And MasterCard has priceless is one of those things that they've done a terrific job building up. And the other thing that they've done, and this is probably a little bit more niche, but it's an area that I worked on, is they did a huge investment in talking about financial inclusion, connecting people to the formal financial systems. And for folks who understand the importance of that, they've really taken a huge lead in bringing that to life, and it just connects banks and consumers to the MasterCard brand, more completely. And so they just do a great job of remaining relevant, in the minds of consumers, such that the banks they're asking the banks for this.
And what about a company like Nike? It's the swoosh, just do it. They have a whole advertising approach that's designed to evoke emotion. And it's this, yes, they probably celebrate some victory, but they celebrate the journey of this and of sport. What about a company like Nike? What do you take from that as you look to build your brand into maybe the Nike of your field?
Well, I think if you talk about some of that Byron Sharp stuff that I was talking about before, I think Nike is as good as anybody at doing that, right? What they stand for, their brand iconography, they are about getting off your bum, right, and going and living your life in the world. And I think that's important. And the piece that I take away from our business is our biggest competitor is not Invisalign, and it's not braces. Our biggest competitor is complacency, right? And so I think there's an element of the urgency that Nike brings to getting started right now in taking control of your fitness lifestyle, with their brand in the world that I look at all the time and try to find ways to bring into the way we talk about our brand, because that urgency is really important, and there are massive benefits to straightening your teeth. And so, how do we get a person to go from I'll do that tomorrow to I got to do this now? And to me, that's something I've learned a lot from the Nike brand is that creating that sense of connectedness and urgency.
And finally, just for you, where do you see all of marketing headed with some of the latest advances in tools and technology? There's a lot of talk now about how AI and artificial intelligence, since everyone sort of discovered, like, wow, Chat GPT can answer all my problems. Maybe it can, maybe it's got a little ways to go. But how do you think this feels? Where do you think we'll be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and how we think about marketing, given some technological advances and some disruptions like the death of third-party cookies and other things that are changing the model of how we market? What is your prediction for where we'll be? And if you come back on the podcast 5 or 10 years from now, what we'll be talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a grand age of personalization right now. It's coming to a close because some of the tools are getting clipped, both from a regulatory standpoint and from some of the key technology players, in the marketplace. Apple with its iOS 14.5 update is a great example of that. And so, what we're going to need to do is just be better about modeling the limited behavior that we have, and can see, and starting to make sure that, again, like I said before, building your brand may be the most important thing you can do from a performance standpoint, in the business. It's not all going away, of course not, but making sure that you're able to create a valuable experience all the way through the marketing cycle, the customer experience, will help you continue to be able to personalize that as opposed to waiting until the end. But we are starting to lose some of those tools, and I think making sure that people have an emotional connection with your brand and what your brand can stand for and what you can do for them, is really critical. I mean, I think take a look at our brand, and we're a transformation brand. If you look at those before and after photos on our site that I mentioned before, and you look at the befores and the afters, you can tell that we are not the only transformation most of those people are going through, right? And it's very clear that we're just a part of a much bigger transformation journey. And so sometimes we're the most visible part, by the way, but not always. And what's interesting is the honor we have to treat that with, right? That we're their partner along on a broader journey. We're not patting ourselves on the back for what happens at the end. We want to pat them on the back for taking control of their lives. And I think as long as you can represent your brand in a way where you're side by side with your customers, helping them get where they want to go, that's going to be the critical response mechanism that gets folks to refer people to your brand, folks to talk about your brand in general. These are the ways we're going to grow, the business in the future. And obviously, we'll do as much as we can with performance tooling to pull folks through. But it's going to start there with making sure that customer journey is as customer focused as possible.
Well, there you have it. John Sheldon, CMO of Smile Direct Club. Thank you for joining us, and love the journey thus far from let's invent a new category, let's tackle the giants in adjacent categories, and then finally phase 3, let's define a new market leadership position all of our own. So thank you so much for joining us on Top CMO, and best wishes for continued success.
Thank you so much, Ben. Great. Thanks for having me.
This was brought to you by Top Thought Leader. Find out more at topthoughtleader.com.